I think we're live.
We're live. Now we are. Who's counting down? Happy Thursday. Hi, Veronica. How are you?
Good. How are you, Tori?
Good. It's been another week and it's been a little hectic, but we're here a little bit late.
A little bit late for sure.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know or who may know, we're in South Florida and, there's a storm headed our way. So we've spent some time during the day getting ready for that and making all the preparations and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why we're a little late, but we're happy to be here. And our topic, I think, is really important.
Setbacks to getting sober.
Yep. And the roadblocks.
And the roadblocks. Yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of things that can keep us stuck from getting sober. I know for me, I had a lot of roadblocks and a lot of things that inhibited me from reaching my full potential. What about you?
What was some of your roadblocks? What was your biggest roadblock?
I think my biggest roadblock was myself, honestly, and like my own thinking.
Yes.
Because for a lot of time I thought, well, like I was just using X, Y, and Z and not using A and B. So like I can keep doing this, and, or someone in the comments just said fear. I think that's a huge roadblock.
Fear is, I think it's all based on fear. Like no matter what the roadblock is, most of them, like the root cause would be fear. For me, it was just the fear of the discomfort or the fear of the feelings or the fear of mainly, like how would I feel without this in my life anymore, and totally based on fear. So that's like right on. So we're done. That's basically, we pretty much like addressed it all. So we're done.
Well,
good night.
Yeah, we're done. Okay, so I'm going to say hi to just a couple people.
No, I'm just kidding.
Before, we shut this thing down. Anyway, let's see. Hi, Steve. He's asking if we have water.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Tori has a case of water and more Gatorade.
And Gatorade because I could not find water at the store. It was all gone. I also could not find bread. It was all gone.
Really?
Gas is almost gone. Yeah, I got like whole wheat hot dog buns, which are actually disgusting. And that was like the only.
I have bread. I can frozen bread.
You got frozen bread?
Not frozen, but it's like in the fridge. So it doesn't go bad. But yeah, no, Steve, there's no water anymore in any of the like supermarkets, as far like CVS, none of the supermarkets now have water. And the storm is not supposed to get here till Sunday and it's Thursday. So that just goes to show how much people are like freaking out in that day.
Will run out, FYI.
What?
Gas will run out.
Yeah. I have to go somewhere tomorrow, so I'm gonna fill my tank tomorrow. But so that's why I didn't do it today. But I'm definitely gonna fill it tomorrow morning. But yeah, it's
anyway. Geraldine's here. Hi, Geraldine.
Hi.
Hi, Steve. We said hi to you. Kevin. Hi. How are you? Augustine's here. Hi, Augustine.
Hi.
Bertlin is here. And Augustine, let's see, there's a couple good comments in here. Fear of failure.
Yeah.
That's really, that can keep you kind of debilitated, I think. And
yeah, especially if you failed at getting sober before, it's kind of like almost like self-sabotage. But yeah, but it's a real fear, like failing and that you're not going to succeed. And so like, why even try? And that's like, that one is like such a trap. And they all are technically, but like the fear of failure is like one of the biggest traps because it's like, you don't know if you don't try, but like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And Paul, another good one, Paul said is enablers. That can keep you. Yeah, isn't that a good one? I love it.
Yeah.
That can keep you, sick for a long time without even kind of realizing it.
Yeah, that's very true. The sick part of me is like thinking like, I wish I had really good enablers back then, but I didn't. But like, it just goes to show like it never goes away, right? Like our thinking or whatever.
Yeah, no,
But that's so true. Like if somebody is like, full enabling someone, that could definitely be a block,
Yeah, no, for sure. And we took a poll last night
Yeah.
And the poll actually did really well. I mean, we got, I think, over 300 comments or something crazy like that. So what were some of the answers on the poll? I want to know.
One of the biggest ones, one of the first answers that I thought was interesting too was that Linda says she didn't want to go to AA. She didn't think she was that bad, and she was in denial. And I think that is such a roadblock too. Already like assuming or not thinking that you're that bad to need help or to want to get sober, and also having preconceived, or having negative experiences with certain paths to recovery, that can be also another block. Like if you've tried something, if you went to treatment and you felt it didn't work, you're more likely going to be hesitant to go to treatment again because you're going to feel like, oh, treatment didn't work, so.
Right. Well, I want to address that though, because I think that's like so important that just because like something didn't work the first time doesn't mean it's not going to.
So true.
So true. Because I know for me, I went to so many treatments, did so many different types of things, tried not drinking, not, X, Y, and Z, whatever. And I'm sober now. So
what clicked so you had to feel at some point that some of that stuff didn't work because you did it and it didn't work right. At that time you probably felt that way. So like what changed for you that then it did?
I mean, for me, it was like I kept everything that I tried. I kept landing back in the same exact spot. And so it was like, a part of it was like a self-sabotage thing, a fear of failure. I'm going to do this over again. So I land back here and can play a victim, so other people take care of me. But at the end of the day, I was just so sick of like ending up in that spot and like not just like kind of spinning my wheels and not like getting anywhere,
Yeah. Makes sense. What are people in the comments saying? I see a couple of them coming through.
Katie says people around you using. That's a huge setback.
Yeah.
Because as the saying goes, like if you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. Especially if you have a circle of friends and close friends that you grew up with who use. That's really tough. I mean, I know like when we get into recovery, people are like, oh, change people, places, and things. But when you've grown up with, like, that's just so much harder sometimes. Like if it's random using people that you've met, whatever, that's not as hard.
Right.
But when it's people that have been in your life for a long time that you've been through a lot with, that's tough. And that can definitely be a setback or a roadblock.
Or even like, I mean, we talked about enablers, but like family using. So
I'm so happy you said that, because the next comment on the poll was Judy, who said her biggest roadblock was that her husband also drank.
Yeah.
I mean, picture that. Like you're trying to stop drinking and your husband drinks. So how do you deal with, like, you can't run away. You can't cut him off.
Right.
I guess you can, but it's not that simple. So she says, long story short, we divorced and I put 100% into my recovery and AA meetings almost 9 years later, and I'm still sober. Judy, that's amazing. And like what you did took so much courage because you chose yourself. Like you were not like, oh, I need to stay married because societal standards want me to be married, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, if I'm going to get sober, I need to get divorced. So Judy, shout out to you for like.
I think at the end of the day, like that's a really good example of like, who can say like what the right thing is to do, but I think that's a really good example of one of the right things to do. You have to look out for yourself,
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that's, if anything, the code that you sort of stick to, like what is the best thing for you in your situation,
right.
Like, it can be cookie cutter with everyone.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go to the comments. Let's see. Bill. Hey, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Bill.
Geraldine has 166 days sober. Can we just acknowledge that? Yay. I remember when she, was first back here again.
Yeah. And for those of you tuning in, we're talking about setbacks to recovery. So definitely jump in the comments. Let us know what were some of the roadblocks that or barriers that you had to getting sober or getting clean.
Rhiannon says, fear of the emotions that led me to using all coming back. But once I stopped running from them and numbing them and faced them head on, I was finally able to just completely let them all go. I love that.
Love that.
Let's see. There's a question on here. I mean, Sandra wants to know, how do you help someone stop drinking? And this is, I mean, that's like a very broad question.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of different ways. What do you want to say to that?
I mean, I think that you can offer resources. I think you can point them in the right direction. I don't think that you can actually, you know, and I know that wasn't your question, like, how do I get that person? But you can't get that person. I mean, the only way you can help is by, you know, maybe having some treatment options available. If treatment is not an option for them, then maybe having local resources available lined up and talking to that person and saying like, hey, you know, this is going on and this is how like your life has been impacted by your drinking. This is somebody close to you. Maybe you can share, you know, how that has made you feel or how it's affected you, and just like give them the options. You know, and be supportive. Don't judge, don't be judgmental, and try not to be angry. And that's really hard. And again, it depends on how close you are to the person and what has transpired. And if that person has, you know, crossed some boundaries, like it's really hard to not be mad at someone, especially if you care about them and like you don't want them to hurt themselves. Like, you know, just as a caring friend, you're going to be upset that your friend is hurting themselves, right? So like, it's hard to stay in a neutral place, but the best way to help somebody is to be supportive. And when they're, and at least let them know, like if they say no, let them know like, okay, well, I'm here when you are ready. Like, just know that whenever you need to talk and whenever you do feel like you're ready, I am here and I will take you to a meeting. I will take you to treatment. I will take you to wherever I need to. But be a friend first.
That, I love that. And, you know, I mean, you don't have the power to make them stop drinking. You know, I mean, it's only within themselves, but you can open the door and give them resources.
And if it's somebody super close to you, like a significant other or a child of yours, or, you know, somebody who's really in your life, then you need to get support of your own, because it's really, really hard to deal with those behaviors day in and day out, especially if the person doesn't want help. So you do need your own support, whether that is going to a therapist to talk about it or going to a free local group like Al-Anon, people who have been exactly where you are. So the second piece of that, you know, is depending how close you are to that person, getting your own support.
Love it. I think we answered that question, don't you?
Yeah.
Kendall says her setback, I live in Wisconsin. Everybody drinks. Her family, friends, and boyfriend. So I want to know, like, how do you stay, you know, like how do you stay sober? If you want to answer that in the comments.
Yeah, a lot of people are in that situation where they live in a town in a culture where drinking is so normal. Like they look at you weird if you don't drink. But then, you know, I always refer back to the example of the sober bartenders that we have in the community, and then we have a bunch of them who bartend. That's their job, and they do not drink, and they've stayed sober for years. So there's a way to do it. You don't have to, you know, and then you also have to set boundaries with your family. Like if staying sober is really important to you, then you need to set those boundaries and need to let them know, like, this is something I no longer doing. They may laugh at you. They may, you know, not know how to respond to that, because at the end of the day, they're going to look at you like making fun of you is like the first response, because you're growing right in front of them. Right. You know, and you're becoming this better person right in front of them, and you're doing something that maybe they can't do. So the initial reaction is going to be like to make fun of you and to be like, oh, you don't drink, you're corny, or like
it probably makes them uncomfortable.
Totally. Yeah. But like you can, you know, and then it all depends where you're at in your sobriety, whether or not you want to be around them when they're drinking. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's when you go hang out with your sober friends, you know, and then little by little, once you're more comfortable, then you can be around people who drink and, you know, whatever. But you could totally, be sober and be in a town where that's the culture, because I guarantee it that there's also other sober people in that town that
Right.
you can talk to who've been through it and who could walk you on how to like get through that.
Right. Totally agree. Lori is 7.5 years sober in Ohio. Carry the message, not the mess, she says. Congratulations. Pammy has 533 days. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Let's see. Augustine says some of his setbacks were after doing detox, going back to the same town, and getting free drugs was also a major setback. He had to pack up, leave everything behind because it was easy and cheap to pay for his meth addiction.
You used to get free drugs, again, like it's so bad. No, but yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of people also recommend that you move away, like that you kind of like restart somewhere, like especially if you complete treatment, like some counselors suggest like aftercare, in another town or in another city. So that way you can be out of your environment and give yourself like a chance to, reset and grow and not be around that and be that. That's really tough, so it's like awesome that you made it this far being still in that environment, but you have to surround yourself with people who don't do that. You have to be with the opposite, like you have to be with the people in meetings or your supports.
People, places, and things.
That's yeah.
And Rhiannon is on point tonight because she's had some really good comments. She says having access to money was always a setback. So when I chose to get sober, all my money never touched my hands. Her parents were amazing and helped control her money until she felt safe to take control again.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really had a lot of money, so that hasn't been an issue for me, but but that has to be an issue for people for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
What is some of the other polls say?
I'm reading. I mean, some people try to quit on their own and they just could not do it until they had, a medical diagnosis. And that's what actually like helped them.
Really interesting that they didn't until they had a diagnosis, because I think that can kind of, we play games with ourselves like, oh, I'm not.
Yeah, it's that denial piece. Like, I'm not that bad. I'm just like casually drinking or whatever. And then you find out like, something's happening with you, and then you're like, okay, this is real. I need to like stop and do that. And then Samantha said that she would stay clean. She would be clean for not that long and experience a huge setback that would cause her emotional pain, which led her to relapse. So she had a lot of serious problems with her family while she was using, and those problems did not go away when she stopped. The thing that changed that dynamic around was having a place to live for about a year, where she was able to get sober and sort out many of her problems without having to worry about money. She was able to heal and problem solve. Yeah, this kind of speaks to that whole like going away for a second to a safe environment and kind of getting your life together and not being around your family and kind of, having that space to focus on you and rebuild.
Yeah. I mean, I think that speaks to people, places, and things too. I mean, some people really need to change that, and some people can get sober exactly where they were using. I mean, I think you can get sober anywhere, but I mean, where did you change your environment, Veronica?
No, because I didn't have like the money to go to treatment. I didn't have like whatever, and I mean, the friends that I had at the time, they were just like people I had met through like partying. So they weren't really friends. So it wasn't like that hard to like not hang out with them, because after my bottom, like I didn't really have anything, so they didn't need to come around me. They weren't checking for me. So then I sort of was like in this, like just hanging out by myself. And then, that's when I started going to the meetings. And because I didn't have anything to do, like I would go to meetings every day. And like I told you, and I've shared many times, like I was fascinated with the fact that like everybody was sharing their business. And I just wanted to be in everybody's business. So I would go to everybody, like I would go to the meetings every day to like listen to people's problems and stuff.
I love that.
I was so nosy. I was just so nosy. I was just floored that, like, because up until then in my life, like, I had no idea that 12-step fellowships existed. Like, I was oblivious to all of that stuff, right? So here I am walking into this room and, like, the meeting is in full effect and so is talking about this happened to her and, like, all these issues are going on. And I'm like, oh, girl. And then, like, somebody else would share something else and I'd be like, what? And it was one of those meetings where, like, I just kept going back and forth and I'm like, this is what happens all the time. I was like, oh, I'm coming back because I want to know what happened with her, so then, like, I would come back and then that's how, like, so I was just being nosy and, like, it stuck, and because I didn't really, like, have a life. I had totaled my car. So I didn't, like, I was, like, the person that, like, was driven to the meeting by, like, her parent. Like, that's where I was. Like, that was my bottom. So, like, that's all I had, So, like, I wouldn't leave the house. Like, I wouldn't do anything. My only, like, social interaction was, like, going to a meeting and being, like, dropped off by a parent. Like, so embarrassing. But so, like, the people weren't that hard to get rid of, but I was still in the same environment. And, you just have to do what you have to do. And, I didn't think I could do it, but it just, like, happened. I just kept doing that one suggestion was, like, keep coming back. And I mean, at the time I wasn't even coming back for, like, the right reasons. I was just being nosy and wanted to be in everybody's business. And,
but look where I got you, like.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you don't want to go and you go and, like, make up a reason as to why you should go, like, that will stick. Like, I really did not think I could put 30 days together, like, at all. Like, someone told me, like, oh, just keep coming back. Before you know it, you'll have a 30-day chip, whatever, key tag. And I was like, that's not gonna happen. Like, it's been, like, decades and it happened. And, like, I don't know, something stuck,
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, for me, I had to change everything. Because I had been doing it over and over again, that I moved to the other side of the country. I mean, I was in treatment, which is like I like it that, you didn't go to treatment and I did. It's kind of like two ends of the spectrum. So, but, I think
I'm always jealous of people who went to treatment, because I'm like, oh my God, how amazing is it to go somewhere and talk about yourself for an entire month? Like, just,
I think it's so amazing, like, for people who didn't go to treatment, because it's like, look at, like, what you can accomplish with these resources that were given to you. And, like, you wanted this so bad enough that, like, look at what you did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, think about it. Like, all you do, like, not all you do, right? But, like, from an outsider perspective, is like, you sleep well, you eat 3 times a day, like, supposedly, like, really good food, which is, like, all on my list of favorite things to do, like eating, like, talking about myself, like, working through things, like, having somebody just focus on, like, my issues, like, so I guess it's the grass is greener kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, treatment is obviously a luxury for, those who find that resource, because, treatment does cost money, but there are some resources for, free treatment. I mean, it's there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're all in the same, like, trying to get to the same goal is what I think.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that whether or not you went to treatment, like, here we are still with the same, kind of, situations, having to deal with the same situations before, during and after. Like, we're still, we all, like, hated feelings. We all hated feeling discomfort. We all, like, had this in our lives for so long and, like, had to mourn, like, not doing that anymore. So despite, like, which path we took, like, we're still all the same. Like, it doesn't matter. And we're still all prone to, like, that disease coming back any day. And us, like, we just have today, right? Like, so no matter, like, what happened, we're still the same.
And look at us here now. We're talking about the same exact things. Like, so
exactly.
What do you want, whatever you want to say about that. But
what are people in the comments saying?
He says, again, well, let me say hi to Brittany. She says, hey, Sober Nation. Alexander says, hey.
Hi, guys.
Brittany, let's see. No, it was Pammy that says emotional sobriety is a huge key. She has relearned to put positive energy and gratitude in my life. I think we need to have like a live about emotional sobriety again.
This is like the second time it gets brought up, like in the last 2
yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. Let's do that like the next time we do this. But emotional sobriety, I mean, is huge because when we get sober, like I think when we're using, like, our emotional growth does stop. So when we get sober again, we have to kind of pick up where we left off, if you will.
Yeah.
But Crescentia says comparing herself to other people was a setback for her.
Oof.
Yeah. And comparing sobriety to other people and like what other people had when they got sober. A setback.
No, but even like I feel so seen by her because I feel like I did that then and I still do that now. You know, I still compare myself to like normies and like people that I don't know, people that I do know, you know, like that's such a like setback for all, like universally comparing ourselves. You know, I think that's like so much bigger than just recovery. But yeah, in sobriety, that could definitely be a setback. I hope she's learned how to overcome that a little bit and that now she's in a better place with that, because we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to anyone else. Like, we're all so unique and our journeys are different.
And Kendall wants to know, what are your thoughts on non-alcoholic beer? I don't have thoughts on that. Personally, I've never drank a non-alcoholic beer, so I can't answer that question. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like beer is gross. Like, unless it's like on a cold day or like on a hot day, and like, you know, back for what it was for, like in the drinking days, like, you know, and like to get your buzz and like you were at the beach or whatever, like that makes sense. But like having like no alcohol in it, my thought is that it would taste like a beer, assuming it would without the alcohol. Like, so would that trigger, you know, would that make you want a real beer? Like just tasting it? Would it be like, you know, and then I don't know, because one could say like, well, what about when you get a virgin pina colada? Like, you know, one could argue with that because it's like, okay, the same taste except without the alcohol, but it's not, like, it's just like a juice. So I don't know, with beer, it's like a little different because like beer to me never tasted good. Right. I know there's like people, there's some beer has like huge fans and like there are people who like study it. They know like, you know, every flavor, they can tell like what's in it. And it's like kind of like wine. Like there's people who are really into that. So I get that there's a whole culture, but for me, like it was just never really, it tasted well. So my whole thing, like as someone else, like I would just be careful. Like what's the motivation behind the non-alcoholic beer? Like, why are you really wanting that experience? You know, is it to be seen drinking a beer? Is it to taste the beer without the alcohol? And like, that's tricky, you know, and it also depends how long you've been sober too.
I think like for me, like I am like, if I'm going to drink alcoholic beer or non-alcoholic beer, like what's the point if I'm not, totally. You know? And then like another point too is like, if I go to the store, like seeking out non-alcoholic beer, like I'm going to end up in the beer section and that could put me at risk too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And Crescentia says it's a slippery slope for some people. It's up to the individual. I totally agree.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of, I think, know your intentions too. You know,
totally.
Like with friends or family or at a social event. Okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe. But like if you're sitting by yourself having an alcoholic beer, maybe you should like take a look at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic beer, you know what I mean. Anyway, what do you say we like wrap this up, Veronica?
Yeah, for sure. The last one that I wanted to mention was Michael, which I think is something that like we don't address enough. And I think that it's a big deal. And he said he could not get through all the 5 steps of grief. He had his oldest daughter pass away. And, you know, using her death as an excuse to drink, knowing that was insanity.
Yeah.
You know, people would say, oh, he just lost his daughter, leave him alone. Like, so when he drank, people would just be like, dude, let him drink. He just lost his daughter. So like, what a roadblock, right? Because it's like, he knows he like shouldn't be drinking. He's drinking. And then you hear somebody kind of co-sign on the drinking, and then you're feeling all this pain. So you feel like this is what I need to do to like medicate that pain.
Right.
So, like, that's definitely deep. That's super deep.
I love that. I mean, I don't love it because like obviously it kept him
right.
But it's
right. But he said that once he admitted he was powerless over alcohol, that's when he surrendered. He's now 5 years sober and he loves his recovery life. We're so sorry for your loss, Michael, and thank you for sharing like your story, because we're sure like there's so many people in our community who has lost somebody and who has probably, you know, had a, like, I remember in early recovery, one of my reservations was like, oh, if something happens to, you know, my close family members, I don't know that I'll be able to stay sober or clean through that, you know. And a lot of people use that as a sort of like, they're like, I don't know, that's when I'm gonna like freak out, you know. So
I mean, I totally, like, that literally happened to me. So
oh my God, that's right, you went through that. How did you cope with that?
I mean, I like went nuts, you know, like first of all, I was like drinking beforehand, but then, you know, when my family member died, like I went off the rails, and it wasn't until like my family like intervened and like kind of set some boundaries and saying like, if you don't, because I had a couple of years sober before that, before I had relapsed. So, you know, my family was like, well, if you don't get your shit together, like you're done, you know? And so that kind of prompted me and to be like, okay, like I have to like do this for my family member, because, you know, that was like another motivation too. They wouldn't want me to like live this way anymore.
Right. So, and like cause the family like more pain on top of like what they had just gone through.
Hello, they were already going through enough, you know?
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss. I forget about that. Like, you're just like so strong. Like, I forget that you've been.
Well, everyone here is. So like, don't, you know, I'm like not special. Like everyone here has been through their hardship.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway,
any last comments that we should address before we say goodnight?
Everyone's saying thank you. Someone says she didn't know we did lives every Thursday. We're here. Usually 9 p.m. Eastern time. This is just a out of the ordinary week because we're about to get hit with the hurricane. So yeah, but we're glad everyone's here. If you want to write for Sober Nation, write some articles for us, you can email me, Tori, Tori, at sobernation.com. If you are struggling and need an added resource, we do have a membership program called Sobriety Engine, like a car, sobrietyengine.com. You can go sign up there, and go to our website, submit your sober stories. We love, love, love those. What else? Anything else, Veronica?
I think you named them all.
Damn, I'm good.
You are. But remember, you're not special. So
you know what? Shut up.
You said it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're here every Thursday, so be sure to join us if you can next week. And stay safe. It's Labor Day weekend. For those of you who are not going to have bad weather, enjoy it. Stay safe.
Safe, and have fun. Stay sober. All right. We'll see you guys later.